poised and brilliant undercover FBI agent, was returning from a major covert operation. As she navigated the bustling corridors of JFK International Airport, she blended into the ordinary rhythm of travel. Dressed in a simple gray sweatshirt and fitted jeans, her dark eyes quietly observing the chaos of delayed flights and restless passengers. Few suspected that behind her calm demeanor lay the focused determination of an agent who had just dismantled an international money laundering ring. After a long 5-hour cross-country flight from Los Angeles, Nan marveled briefly at the dawn's colors as the sun turned the horizon into swatches of pink and orange. It was her first glimpse of the city that never slept. Yet today the airport's frenetic energy felt different. Amid the clamor of announcements and hurried steps of travelers, an unsettling presence began to shadow her path. Officer Ronald Mendez, a 15-year veteran assigned to the airport security detail, had already grown bitter from years of routine checks and a string of misconduct complaints. His eyes, narrowed with suspicion, fixed on Nin almost as soon as she stepped off the jet bridge. To him, her quiet confidence was less a mark of competence and more a trigger for his prejudiced hunches. "Way too confident," he muttered under his breath, already formulating unwarranted scenarios. Drug mule, con artist, or worse. Without any concrete evidence, Mendez began to tail Nain. His suspicion, fueled by his own frustrations and bias, led him to approach her with a curt, "Ma'am, excuse me." Nain, recognizing the all-too-familiar pattern of invasive questioning, met his glare with measured calm. "Yes," she replied evenly. Mendez demanded, "I need to see your ID and boarding pass." Nain knew that airport protocol typically allowed TSA or designated officers to perform routine checks, not random inspections by a uniformed cop. Still, maintaining her cover was crucial. With a polite nod, she handed over her credentials, careful to offer only the details necessary under her alias, Nain Walker, a consultant for a legal firm. Mendez's eyes scrutinized her documents, his demeanor growing more hostile by the second. "Business or pleasure?" he asked, his tone dripping with disdain. "In la business," Nain answered, a brief half-smile playing on her lips. Yet even as she spoke, she felt the tension of every second stretching out, a reminder that any misstep could expose her true identity. As they moved away from the public terminal into a quiet corridor, Mendez insisted on searching her carry-on bags. With no concrete reason for a search, beyond his prejudiced hunch, Nain's irritation simmered beneath her composed exterior. Mendez rifled through her belongings aggressively, pulling out her toiletry bag, neatly folded clothes, and even her laptop, an essential tool for her covert assignments. When he attempted to unlock the laptop, Nain's heart raced. The device was scrubbed clean of any FBI markers, its folders filled with innocuous documents and carefully redacted files. "Open your laptop," Mendez demanded, his voice hardening as he ignored her protest that accessing her device without a warrant was against protocol. Nen, realizing that further resistance might force his hand to escalate the encounter, reluctantly typed her passcode to display only the innocuous home screen. Mendez flipped through a file labeled Case Summaries 2021, clearly disappointed at not finding the incriminating evidence he might have hoped for. After a few agonizing minutes, he snapped the laptop shut and dismissively returned her belongings. The humiliation of the encounter was compounded when Mendez, still seething, casually remarked, "Next time, Miss Walker, cooperate from the start." With that, he stalked away, leaving Nain fuming but determined not to let the incident shake her resolve. Yet, even as she rejoined the throng of travelers, she could not ignore the stinging injustice of being singled out solely because of her appearance, a stark reminder of the pervasive bias in law enforcement. Moments later, a new scene unfolded near a Starbucks kiosk. Mendez had already turned his attention to a young Middle Eastern man demanding his passport with a tone that blended entitlement and disdain. The man's voice trembled as he tried to explain that he was a U.S. citizen with only his driver's license on him. Bystanders averted their eyes, fearful of becoming entangled in Mendez's overreach. Before the young man could be further humiliated, another officer, Morales, stepped in with a calm yet firm plea for de-escalation. However, Mendez only shot a final dismissive glare before marching off. Watching this, Nayan's internal conflict deepened. Her training had long instilled in her the value of see something, say something. But today her duty as an undercover agent demanded discretion. Still, her conscience would not let her ignore the pattern of abuse. Once outside the corridor, she discreetly captured a few details on her phone. An evidence trail she knew would be critical once she reached the FBI field office near Federal Plaza. After a short ride in a nondescript black SUV driven by her trusted colleague, Agent Daniel Park, Nayan finally allowed herself to exhale. In the relative privacy of the car, Park's concerned glance confirmed her unspoken worries. "So, what happened?" he asked softly. Nayan recounted the incident with measured calm, every detail of Mendez's aggressive search and the racial profiling that marred what should have been a routine check. Park's face darkened with resolve. "If he's harassing people the way you described, we need to file a formal complaint," he stated, his tone laced with both indignation and determination. At the FBI field office, as Nayan debriefed her superiors on the dismantling of the money laundering operation, she also took the opportunity to report the misconduct. In a room filled with the quiet hum of confidential discussions, she submitted her notes and the evidence captured from her phone. The conversation quickly shifted from operational briefings to the broader implications of police overreach, a reminder that the fight for justice was not confined solely to criminals, but extended to those entrusted with upholding the law. In the following weeks, an internal investigation was launched against Mendez. Nayan's detailed report, combined with testimonies from other victims of similar harassment, forced airport authorities and local law enforcement to confront long-standing issues of bias and abuse of power. The outcome, while not an immediate fix, set in motion a series of reforms designed to retrain officers and implement stricter oversight in airport security procedures. For Nayan, the encounter was a stark reminder of the thin line between duty and personal prejudice, a line that, when crossed, could undermine the very integrity of justice. Even as she continued her work in dismantling criminal networks, she remained vigilant against the abuses that could occur in even the most routine of settings. As the investigation into Mendez progressed and policy changes slowly took root, Nayan's experience at JFK became more than just a personal ordeal. It was a catalyst for change. Her commitment to truth and justice, both in the field and within the system, resonated with those who believed that no one, regardless of their role, should be above accountability. In the end, Nayan Campbell's journey was not just about protecting the nation from criminal enterprises. It was about standing up against prejudice, ensuring that the power of authority was never wielded without accountability, and reminding everyone that even in a world fraught with injustice, the fight for a fairer tomorrow was always worth the risk.